Simonson here, your San Juan Island lifestyle information source. So, when I think about my showings, almost every time I discuss septic systems with my clients. Now, it used to be kind of uncomfortable. It was just, talking about stuff like that. But now, talking about sludge, effluent, and solids is the norm. So most of us county property owners are aware that we get notices from San Juan County or the service providers every year that reminds us that we have to have our septics inspected. And depending on the type of system, it can be 1 to 3 years. And pretty much I use Craig Starr or Ted Leidecker for my business inspections on a regular basis. They're both great guys. So we got our notice, and now we're preparing for Craig. He's our service provider at the property. He's been doing our inspections for the last 22 years. And what we do, well, mostly Tim, is we dig down through the gravel to our riser level. And part of the reason we've elected to do this is that I don't want to ask Craig to separate the gravel from the dirt. I think that's a little over the top. So we pretty much prepare for Craig. So all septic inspectors do have staff that can dig this stuff out for you, should you desire. So not that I want to offend a designer or one of the engineers, but our risers are subsurface for a reason. It's because I think they're not very attractive. In fact, I think they're borderline ugly. So here's my thought. Why can't these engineers come up with something that is better than this bright green riser lid? Why can't they just glue on some bark dust or some gravel? If they did that, I think the homeowners would be happier with this more aesthetic design. So just like my risers, I prefer them to be below grade. These are my blow-off valves, and they are approximately, an inch below the surface, and they're painted gray. There's just no reason for them to be up front and proud and a piece of yard art. I just don't see it. I know the engineers have their plan, but this is my plan. Very good looking blow-off valves. So this is my mound system. It's a 3-bedroom system, and I have planted some shallow rooted ground covering and some raised beds on it. I'm pretty sure it's not what Jack Corey, my designer, had in mind, but what was I supposed to do with a big hump of clay and gravel that they left in the middle of my front yard? So I know this just looks like a lovely red Japanese maple in a lovely black pot surrounded by St. Johnny's wort, but really, in disguise, it is a pot on top of the filter that we now need to pull out and wash out as part of our septic inspection. So we, mostly Tim, have dug out down to the riser level our main tank, which has 2 chambers and a riser on each, and as well as our pump tank. So I think we're ready for Craig. So this is Craig Starr. He is the owner-operator of Starr Excavation, and he's been in this business for 27 years. So he's going to do our inspection. Let's get started.
Okay, let's go.
So Craig is going to inspect not only our pump tank, but our holding tanks. He's going to measure our sludge, and that'll determine whether we need to pump or not. Then he's going to go to the mound and pressurize the blow-off valves, and that will test for pressure and pump function. Then he's going to look down the observation ports and make sure we don't have any standing water in our lateral lines, because that would be a bad sign. Finally, he's going to clean off the filter and have that all put back together. Then he's going to file with San Juan County the report, and then that way I can go in and look at the history as well as my as-built. What more can I expect from my inspector?
Okay, let's go over.
Hey Craig, do you need some help down there? Well, that spoof with Craig hanging down in the septic tank and me helping him didn't work out because now my husband's jeans filled with towels are in the septic tank. So it's going to cost us a lot more money to get those out. So one of the most important parts of the septic inspection is that you are advised whether you need to bring your system up to code. We are required to have maintenance components. On the older systems, some lack risers and observation ports and blowout valves, and these are all important function items. So it's something you really need to take seriously and have done. And of course, you're going to have it before you sell your house. So a pump of the system will not automatically be ordered by your inspector. It'll only be required if necessary. Leaving bacteria in the tank is an important part of its functionality. And as a homeowner, you also need to monitor for failure as well. Don't use your garbage disposal very much. Don't flush paints and toxins down the drain, and make sure you fix any sort of running or leaking toilet right away. You need to protect your drain field from deep-rooted shrubs as well. You know, over the years I've been involved in lots of transactions in which the septic system had failed, and the going rate was about $20,000 to $25,000. So it's important that you monitor and make sure that your system is functioning properly and have those inspections regularly. So if you're a self-help or inquiring minds type of person, you can take classes at the San Juan County Health Department and you can become certified to inspect your own septic system. Now, of course, I have no idea why anybody would want to do that. There are just some things best left for the professionals. And especially if your home's for sale, you don't want to do a self-inspection. The liability is just too great. So it's really important to document the location of your septic system. Photograph it. That's important in case your favorite septic inspector retires, and it also makes a great closing gift for the new buyer should you decide to sell your home. So there's numerous types of septic systems out here. Pretty much in the old days, the norm was a standard, but now if you're installing a system, you're going to be looking at some sort of pressurized system, whether it's a sand filtered or a mound, or one of these pretreatment systems. Now, I happen to be standing next to the Aventech system at this time. It's very advanced, although they still have not figured out this green riser and green vault lid thing. But what they do is they pre-treat the sewage. So by the time the effluent is pumped up to the drain field, it's of the quality of irrigation water. I mean, those darn engineers are so smart. God, next you're going to be reading that they've turned that water into wine. So this is a mound system. It's a beauty. This is exactly what San Juan County likes to see. Pretty much the materials have been installed on a slight slope, there's shallow rooted grass, the blowout valves and the observation ports are easily accessible by the service providers. They're obvious. It just doesn't get any better than this. It's gorgeous. Okay, we're in the tough part of this video. I can't make a septic video without talking about toilet paper. So we're all uncomfortable. I agree. But you got to think about this as Goldilocks. Basically, if you go with the thick stuff, it will clog up your septic tank. If you go with the thin stuff, it will go through the system over to your lateral lines and clog up your drain field. And it is much more cost effective to pump than it is to replace your drain field. So go with the Goldilocks theory. Not too thick, not too thin. Cheers. So if you're still watching this video, I apologize to you. I had no idea there was so much information about septics that I felt compelled to share. I mean, I literally had 6 minutes into this video before the star arrived. What can I say? San Juan Island information source? I guess I'm just full of it. If you have any questions about your septic system, call your service provider. If you have any questions about San Juan Island real estate, call me, Merri Simonson, Coldwell Banker San Juan Islands.